excited to play today. Hi, Michelle. All right, I think we'll just, maybe we'll give a couple more minutes, but I think we're starting to fill in, and I'm really excited. I'm gonna play with a set that I've been waiting to play with. Hi, Marianne. If you have seen the spring release, you know that it is full of gorgeous things. And I'm still playing with new things that I haven't had a chance to play with yet. All right, I think. Okay, so if you watched earlier today, Christopher went live and he announced that the stick and stamp mats are back, and also there is a new addition to the stick and stamp family, I guess we'll call it. And this is called the Stick and Stamp Pigment Palette. And I'm telling you, literally this came in my mail today. So I thought I would at least show these to you before I get started so that you can see what the fuss and the excitement is all about. So I have featured the stick and stamp mat before, but I'll just review it a little bit. I killed mine. I was a good test subject for how to not treat your stick and stamp mat. But let me peel. It has a little plastic cover that you're going to want to hold on to so that you don't get dust and anything in it. And then you can see it's sticky. And this was designed so that you can fit it right into your stamping platform. You can see it fits perfectly. And then your projects will stick right to your mat. So, like, we're going to use this one today. If I want to use that, I've got it. It sticks right in there. It's not going anywhere. I can do ink blending. I can do whatever I want with that. Without needing the magnets. Who said that? Michelle, I killed mine too, but I am going to make a tutorial so that we can kind of go over the do's and don'ts now that we've had one, and can kind of avoid some of the things that maybe if you're anything like me, one of the fatal things I did was I used Pixie spray and the mat, and it turned my mat into goo. So this is the Stick and Stamp Pigment Palette. You can see it sticks right on there. It's not going anywhere. In fact, I'm trying to get it off, and I have to actually go in and do it.
Nicole says hi.
Hi, Nicole. And so this is perfect for if you're like watercoloring or something. You can just stick whatever it is you're watercoloring in there. Let's say you're using aqua pigments. You've got color coding here, which is helpful if you're trying to keep your colors straight, because sometimes it's hard to tell when you're looking at a little puddle. So it's got all of these colors. Hi, Christopher. I'm showing off the new Stick and Stamp Pigment Palette. It came in the mail today. I'm very excited. So this would be perfect to put your color in, and then you would just go ahead and you could color it, and it wouldn't go anywhere. It's sealed off. It's not gonna have any, it's waterproofed, but you aren't going to want to submerge it. But you're gonna be perfectly fine putting that on there. And I believe Christopher said that Michael put some aqua pigment on there and left it for like an insane number of hours, and it still wiped right off. So 96? Is that what you said, Darren?
That's what I heard say earlier, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I don't need to use this right now. You never know. I'll leave it handy because it's pretty handy. You can turn it over and you can use it for ink blending. So we may use it for that because we do have some ink blending. And today's card is going to be really pretty simple. I have been waiting to play with the Glorious Garden stamp set. And you can see it's got this ginormous die so that you can cut this beautiful image out. And one thing you may or may not have noticed if you have checked... Who did?
Jesse and Jack.
Hi, Jessie. You had a birthday recently. Hope it was a fun one. And hello, Jackie. I'm just going to put that on there for now because I do have a little bit of ink on my stamp and I'm not ready to deal with that. So I don't need my magnets. I'm going to move those out of the way. But what I wanted to show you is that the Glorious Garden set and the Full Bloom set coordinate. You've got the same blossoms in this bunch of flowers as you do on the stamp set. You can see I used red with that. We are going to use both of these together today, and we're going to create a card that has a little bit of fun dimension to it, and we're also going to use the dies that go with it. So I say we get started. What do you guys think? So the first thing, oh, thank you, Darren. Darren is putting up a link that will take you to an entire collection of everything that we use today so that you don't have to try to find what it was. It'll all be right there at your fingertips. So I went ahead, just for the interest of time, I went ahead and I stamped and embossed this. I will give you a little hint on stamping because this is a very large image. So you do want to probably be using your stamp, what's the word, platform, whatever one you've got. That will be very helpful. I actually created, I don't know if you guys have heard of the chuck tool or all of the different things people are using to kind of push on their misty lid so that you get even pressure. And I didn't have one, so I thought I have got a whole drawer full of these. Because I have this, I don't use these so much anymore. So I had this this felt that was self-adhesive, and I know I got it from Brutus Monroe, but it might have been a couple years ago, so I don't think it's necessarily available anymore. But all you would need to do is just get some adhesive. In fact, we have adhesive sheets, I believe, that would probably do the trick. And then I just cut down a little piece of the felt so that I could use that as my little tool for that. Also, kind of play around with it. Give yourself, don't do your first try on your paper that you're going to definitely use on your card. I would say do a test run first, because I actually think that the stamp is maybe even easier sometimes to just lay your paper on the stamp, or to even leave your stamp so that it's what's the word I'm looking for? There's several ways to stamp it. Use whatever works for you, but isn't this stamp gorgeous? But yes, you could just have it not even be on the lid. You could even just have it there, place maybe your stick and stamp mat over the top and add pressure there. Try different methods, but it is beautiful. Make sure the biggest key on this is to make sure that your embossing ink pad is nice and juicy. Okay? All right, so we've got that already done. So now I'm going to show you just kind of a quick way to color your images. So I also stamped and embossed, and I used Raven embossing powder in case you're curious. I also did the Full Bloom stamps. I used this guy, and this guy. So, oh, did I say I used this one? I used this one. The embossing ink and what else?
They'll be back in stock on Friday.
The embossing ink and what?
Raven.
And okay, both the Raven and embossing ink will be in stock on Friday, right? Darren?
Friday, yes.
Okay, perfect. That is good news. You will never have a better. I love our Raven ink. I use it constantly. And the embossing ink too. The embossing ink is really, really good. Okay, so let's get started on this. We're going to use some Simon Hurley ink pads today. And I've got quite a few of them. And we're also going to use these little mini ink blenders from Ranger. I've got several of those. Robin?
Yes.
Hello, Robin. So I'm going to start, I usually will start with my lightest color first.
Candy, say hi.
Hi, Candy. And this is going to be the quickest, easiest, least stressful way to color ever. So if you get nervous about coloring, this is your method right here, just for you. I am not going to worry at all if I go out of the lines.
Move the big one over to your right.
I'm just going right over the top. I know there's a third one. There we go. And you can see, of course I bled, because we're using this big old thing and I'm got all these little flowers, and that is perfectly fine because this is not going to be a precise method of coloring. All right, so that was Shooting Star. I guess I should tell you that. This is Shooting Star Simon Hurley ink. And now I think we'll go ahead and use Roar. And I'm going to use this. And I sometimes will just get the edge so that I have a little bit more control. Not a ton of control, because like I said, this is a really loose method, but just a little bit. And then I think maybe we'll do the butterfly orange. Okay. So we'll move that out of the way. And now we will move on to, whoops, I'm losing my dauber. Hang on one sec. I'm just setting them behind me so they're out of my way. Let's do Prom Queen. We'll use this down here on these flowers. And I am just, like I said, this is seriously loose. Okay, now we'll go on to, let's see, let's do some Crown Me. And we are just going to use that on some of these long, I guess there's not very many of that particular one. Maybe we'll use a little bit right here on this guy. Is there anything over here? Maybe we can add, just kind of randomly add it. That's one of the nice things. We can kind of do whatever we want with this method. It's just super simple. Okay. So now, let's add some Triple Berry. And we're gonna add that to these other kind of, I don't know specifically what kind of flowers these are. I just think they're pretty. That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge on those. And then we're gonna do the same thing on this one. Okay, I think that's all of those. Maybe, yeah, I think that's good for those. And now let's add, I'm gonna take one of my little detail daubers, I think that's what they're called. And let's use some Overzealous. And this will help us just to get a little bit more color on our stems and our leaves. And I'm totally going to overlap some of my ink blending that I've already done, and I'm not even worried about it. Can you believe my nerve? This is really good practice if you are really particular. Kara did?
Yes.
Hi, Kara. This, like I said, this is good practice if you are kind of a stickler and a perfectionist. This is a good way to just kind of exercise loosening up a little bit.
Robin and Jackie think they're Lily of the Valley.
Oh, okay, Lily of the Valley. My brother would totally know. He's got a green thumb. I only have a green thumb when I use green ink. So at least I can have it then. I am definitely not somebody who knows anything about plants. Let's see, let's put some green in here.
Nicole says I don't have a green thumb.
No, you don't have a green thumb either, Nicole? Well, you can be like me.
Fake plants.
Nicole, that's the best. I totally get it. Totally get it. I love to receive flowers, but I never, would ever even try to keep them alive for longer than maybe a week or so. Okay. And then I think we'll add one more color, and that will be the Love Struck. Kind of a nice, pretty rosy red. And we'll just use that down here on some of these cute little flowers on the edges. Ooh, got a little more ink on that one than I meant to. Let's see. And we'll just kind of add it in wherever we...
I have succulents that I've managed to keep alive since COVID started.
Nicole, that is impressive. That you're better than me. I can't even keep a succulent alive. Seriously, it's sad.
Robin says she's been known to kill plastic plants.
You guys are awesome. Oh, yes. Well, we are not botanists, are we?
Sarah says she's a flower killer as well.
Okay, well, I'm glad to at least know that I am in good company. I think we'll just add a little bit right here. That's where my stickler ways will come in. I'm letting go of them a little bit for this project. All right. If you've watched me, sometimes I have a hard time stopping with the fussing. Now, we've got this part done. We can go ahead and we can take that huge, beautiful die. And I will point out, I know Christopher's pointed it out on his projects, but I will point out one of the cool things about this die is that it cuts out these little areas in between. So I will get all of our dies out. Should have brought my tape over. Oh, good, I can reach it. So happy when stuff like that happens. Okay. So I just use this repositionable tape. And it lasts pretty long. I'm not above using it more than once either, but I'm not like that worried about it. But if I'm doing a lot of creating, I'll just stick my little tape right on my machine so that I can use it again. So we've got that one ready to go. And I have to say, one of my favorite things about Brutus Monroe dies is that I find them really user-friendly. I think that they have made it very easy to line them up, which I have had my share of dies that are not that way. And it can mess up your whole thing, especially if you just colored a whole bunch and then you cut it out and it's way off center. Nothing worse than that. Okay, now we've got our beautiful cutout, and you can see, look how nicely it lined up. And yes, it cut off a little bit because I cut my paper down lower, and that's not even going to matter because it's going to work just fine for the design that I have in mind for us. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and put this on a card. So I wanted to show you the watercolor rainbow paper. If you haven't seen this yet, it is really, really pretty. This also came out in the spring release. There's two there's two paper collections from the release, and I'll show you both of them, but this is the one that we're going to use. Look at these beautiful backgrounds. Just gorgeous. And the best part is that they're already dry. You don't have to wait for your watercolors to dry. These are already dry and ready for you. Aren't they beautiful? So we're going to use one of those today. I already cut one down. I haven't really told you any measurements. I guess I could do that, huh? You can do whatever size you want on the ones that are die cut, because obviously you're die cutting those, so it's not going to really matter too much. And then I cut, I'm gonna have to measure them because I didn't actually write it down, so bear with me. This one is not gonna be as long as this, even though we're going to actually end up putting it on this. We're gonna cut a piece of perfect blend paper to, it looks like, oh, let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 by 3 and just under a quarter. It's not quite 3 1/4. It's just a little bit less than that. And so this one is 6 by 3 and just under a quarter. And what we're gonna do first, let's bear with me for a second. Let me set the tape out of my way. First things first, I told you that we were going to spritz our images. So I'm just taking, I just saved one of my squeaky clean bottles, and that works perfectly fine for me. And I just put water in that, and I don't need a fancy bottle. And I'm holding it maybe, I've got it up here right by the camera, and I would say that's maybe 10, 11 inches away. And I am not gonna soak my paper. I'm just lightly misting it. And, you know, do what you want. Create your own ending. And then I'm gonna let that kind of sit on there a little bit. Move it around a little maybe. And because I didn't get it very wet, I'm not too concerned about it, like warping or anything. Okay, so now I'm just gonna dry off this spot before I bring in the stuff that we're working on. I don't think we really need this right now. I think we're done blending. I totally could have used my stick and stamp mat. I forgot to do that. I just kind of got moving and didn't do that. I guess I just had a hard time getting it dirty already. Sorry about that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring the Misty back out over here. And we can use it now. We'll use it for our sentiment. So I just need to remove that clear plastic film. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a little scattery today. I don't know why, but I kind of jumping around, so bear with me. I did want to show you just really quickly the speckled spring paper. So I'll just kind of flip through that really quick. You can see it's got this really, really cute pattern on it. Gives your projects just a little added texture. Love it. So cute. This is so cute for Easter projects. I mean, you can use it for several things. It looks great with florals. It looks great with whatever, but I think it's particularly cute with eggs. Okay. Thanks for rolling with me. So we're going to take this piece of the watercolor rainbow, and we're going to move our sentiment. Actually, let's move the paper. I'm going to move this down just a little bit. Now, the best way to take your paper off of your mat is to curl your mat a little bit. So you kind of peel the mat away from your project rather than the other way around. Let's see where this is. Let's see if this lines up where I want it. That'll work. I think I might even move it up a little bit more to that black line. Okay. So let's move it to this line. And I love the little guidelines that the mat has. It makes it that much easier. Oh, perfect. That's where we want it. Okay, so I'm going to use some of the Detail ink, the Detail Raven ink. You can see my ink pad has been through a lot. It's probably time for me to think about stocking up when they do come in on Friday. It has seen a lot of action, let me tell you. Okay. And we are just going to, look, we didn't put any magnets or anything on the mat. And our paper is staying just exactly where we want it. You probably could put magnets on the mat just to keep the mat where you want it, but I'm not having any trouble with it right now. So, but if you find that that's an issue, yeah, add your magnet just to keep the mat in place. But you won't need it to keep your project in place. Hopefully I'm up where you can see it. Should we try out our little tool that we made? I like a nice crisp image, so I think that will do. Maybe we'll do it one more time. Just because that hello is nice and bold, and I just love that font. It's just really cute. So it's kind of a windy, and it's like it's going to rain, but it's not raining here today. How are things where you guys are located? There we go. I think that's just about right. So we're going to peel that off. We're going to actually peel our mat back, remember? And just kind of hold on to the paper and let the paper just kind of pop off a little bit. Raining.
It rained all day yesterday.
Nicole said it's raining.
Huh?
Nicole says it's raining.
Yeah, Candy said it rained the last 2 days.
And Candy says it's raining. Yeah, it
Candy
seems.
said tomorrow maybe snow.
Oh, wow. Snow in April always is kind of bittersweet.
Sandra said it's raining.
Now, you notice I put that clear plastic right back on my mat. We want to keep it nice and clean, right? Okay.
Michelle said it's raining earlier, now it's just windy.
We'll clean our stamp after. All right, so now we've got this cute little panel that we can use for our base. We're actually going to add this panel to this panel. I was trying to decide if we want to add some. I am a big fan of like spattering, but I like it so much that I use it all the time. So I'm kind of thinking maybe we'll avoid it on this one. I don't think it's going to need it. I think this, I love how this just looks like clouds. It just works out great. Okay.
Candy said that snow on her birthday before it, so snow in April happens.
Yeah, it almost always snows. It's usually snowy for my birthday. My birthday's in November, but not in Arizona, I guess, huh? And I guess it wasn't here either. But I grew up in Utah and I lived in Montana for some time. So for not a very long time, just a short amount of time. And so I get it.
Oh, it says it's pretty.
I think, yeah, you can see, I mean, this is already pretty dry. I'll probably throw a little heat on it in a minute, but it totally softened it. You can see the blend is softened. It's one of the nice perks of Simon Hurley ink because it is water reactive. All right, bear with me, guys. I just clipped my fingernails and I can't get a hold of the the backer. There we go. There we go. All right, so we'll just add that. And this is a little bit shorter because it's a 6x6 pad, right? And our paper is a little bit longer than that. And hopefully I can get it centered on there pretty good. I think that will work. Okay. So now we're gonna take this big, huge piece. You can see it's too big to fit on our card, right? So we are going to cut it down a little bit. So first thing we're gonna do, I like it to hang off just a little bit. So I want maybe this much, let's see, maybe this much to hang off on this side. So we're going to just kind of add, I don't need that up, so that will help. So I'm gonna go about right 3.5, I think. I think about right there will work. And I'm just gonna cut that right off. So now we can see how far this goes over. So see, yeah, I kind of like how it's hanging off. And then we're not gonna throw this away. We're gonna use this, but I am gonna trim a little bit off on this side. This isn't even gonna show, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm gonna take off a little bit here because I don't want it to be obvious that it's the other side. So I'm just gonna take off a little bit, like maybe 1/4 inch. Okay, so yeah, we've got that trimmed down a little bit. And this is kind of nice if you're a big ATC maker. This is beautiful for a little border of some sort. Okay, so we're gonna add this, and then we're gonna add this piece, because this is the piece that's gonna go on the bottom. So first, let's go ahead and let's just get it out of our way. Let's just put that down. Okay, so now we'll just line that up with the edge of the paper, and you will see this isn't even gonna show. But this one, we want this one to stand up a little bit. This card is gonna have some dimension to it. So let's use some of our foam on that. Just grabbing my foam that's handy. And maybe we need one more. Okay, I might be going crazy with the foam, but we want it on there nice so it's not gonna come off. Now remember, right here is gonna be hanging off the card a little bit, so we don't need to put any kind of foam there. So tonight, my son and his girlfriend are making dinner for our family. Isn't that nice? And it'll probably be fancier than anything that I would cook today. Darren's pretty good on Wednesdays. He usually takes over for me. Actually, Wednesdays are usually Daniel's night. Daniel is my oldest boy. And I do give him one night a week to cook. Okay, so look at that. Can you see all of the dimension? What was that, hon?
Yeah, I said, how fun? Do you know what they're making?
They were talking about making ziti bake. I'm not sure what it all entails, but I'm definitely intrigued. It sounds pretty good to me. Anything I don't have to cook sounds pretty good to me right now, honestly. Let's see, I'm just looking. I cut down some of my little squares for those little tighter spaces. Now this one, we're going to do something a little bit tricky with this guy. We're gonna put our foam on the flower, and then we're going to poke it through this hole because I want it over here. You can put yours wherever you want, but that was where I wanted that guy. And then I'm going to just kind of put just a little bit of a bend in my butterfly to give it a little bit of dimension. And then we'll put some foam on the one side. I'll add that little guy up at the top. And then let's add a little bit of foam to this. I can't remember what you said. Lily of the Valley, is that what you guys said it was? And we're gonna add this guy right here. So now we've got all of these different layers of dimension, and you saw it wasn't hard to do. It was really easy. So I've got this ribbon. I am not sure exactly which inspiration box it came from. It might have been Sweet Candy, is that what it was called? Okay, I did hear a couple of people say that bows are a challenge. Thanks, Candy. Have a good night. I wanted to show you really quick. how I tie bows. And like I said, I used to have a hard time tying bows, but this is how I was taught. If you just tie it around, you've got your first tie in there, right? Stick your finger there. And then make your rabbit ears. This is a good bow for cards and crafty things. Before you pull it tight, that's when you want to kind of adjust where the tails are coming out. And you want to try to keep when you're making your rabbit ears, you want the satin, the shiny satin side to be on the outside. So now, we can trim that up. We've got that bow on there ready to go. So now we're gonna mat that. I've cut a piece of jack-o'-lantern cardstock, and it is cut at 6 3/4 by 3 1/2. So that's gonna be our mat. And we'll just go ahead and add some of our tape to that. I'm gonna use this bigger tape. So have all of you had a chance to look at the spring release now? It's been out for, well, I guess it's been out for close to a month now. So many pretty things. All right, so now we're just gonna center that on our card. And then we're just gonna put this whole thing on our card base, which I will tell you is 7 1/2 inches by 7 inches. And so it's folded at the 3 3/4 mark. So what is everybody else making for dinner? I'm always intrigued. All right, so I'm just going to center that on my front panel. If you find that you're having a hard time getting your panels on straight, if you're doing so while you're sitting down, that could be the issue. Sometimes I struggle even when I stand up, but it's a much easier thing to eyeball when you're standing up than when you're sitting down. Ooh, who's having that?
Shweta.
That sounds good, Shweta.
Lenore's having chicken soup.
Who is?
Lenore.
Lenore. Chicken soup sounds good on a blustery day like today. So now let's just add a couple of little epoxy dots, kind of going on our orange theme here, it looks like. And maybe we'll just put a little guy up here. All right, so that basically finishes off our card. Really easy, really fast. And because you've got all of this dimension, it looks like it took you a lot longer, right? All right. Well, I hope that you guys all maybe were inspired to create something on your own, and that if you do create something, go ahead and post that in the Brutus Monroe, on the Facebook Brutus Monroe fan page. We love to see your projects. I love to see how everybody's minds work and how all of their creative juices flow. All right, thank you so much. I will have something different prepared for you next week. I hope that you guys all have a great rest of your week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.